In this series, Blake and I are going to be talking all about Git, which is a version control system. Git is what Drupal.org uses to track all of the source code for Drupal core and all the modules that you download. We're going to talk a lot about how the Git software works and how you can use it in your own projects.
Before we get started though, this series is pretty command line heavy, so you'll probably want to take a moment to review the Drupalize.Me command line series if you're not comfortable in a terminal window already.
There's a lot of terminology and concepts that we need to understand in order to make the best use of Git. So in addition to looking at how the software works, we'll also talk about some of those things like what is a commit, a checkout, and a repository. And all of these things that will hopefully help make Git easier to use in your everyday workflow and also when you're working with teams.
After we get a few of the basic commands together, like git init to create our repository and git add to track files, we'll take a look at a few other commands, tags, and branches that help make your day-to-day workflow a little easier. Then we'll take a look at merging and rebasing, which allow you to integrate other people's work into your repository as well.
And speaking of making your day-to-day workflow easier, we're also going to look at configuration options in Git. So how you can make it color the output in your terminal so it's easier to read when a file has modifications, or understand that this file is currently staged and ready for committing. We're going to take a look at some of the advanced things you can do with Git commands, like interactive rebasing, which allows you to rewrite multiple commits in the history of your repository, or an interactive add, which allows you to add simple hunks from a file rather than the whole file itself.
We'll also take a look at how you can work with multiple remote repositories, so you can interact with things like Drupal.org and GitHub, and be able to push changes from one repository to another on different machines or for different team members.
We'll wrap the series up with a lesson that goes over all of the things that we've covered throughout the series and demonstrates a pretty common workflow with Git. Cloning things from a remote repository, creating branches, making changes to your files, committing those changes, merging them back into your master branch, and pushing all of that back to the remote repository. And then we'll use that as a baseline to look at some of the graphical interfaces that allow us to work with Git as well, so we can compare how those interfaces work with what we learned about the command line.